Welcome to the Tintean Podcast. This is episode 3, and we are joined by half of Onoir.
The other two ditched. We got the main ones. No, that's.
So, welcome. We were just after an amazing gig. How do you feel?
Great. Absolutely great. We were just chatting a minute ago. You were like, "Do you be buzzing?"
Yeah.
We literally just like walk off stage and we're like, "Right, where can we get Gaughan's and real chips?"
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
The type of chip after a gig is important.
Is it?
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
You want like the ones that smell like grease and they're thick.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
the small skinny ones.
What about vinegar? Are you a vinegar man?
Loads. Are you
Of
vinegar?
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loads. Like.
Gotta have lots of vinegar.
Yeah.
So that's your ritual after the show.
Well, it was, but then our doctors advised to start.
Yeah.
We did a solid like 8 months of like takeaways after every gig.
Oh God, of
Yeah.
course, yeah. That must be hard actually, getting good food into like if you're touring.
Honestly,
It is
it is.
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Declan and Dean. Declan's here. Dean's not here at the minute. Both of them are like semi-professional jiu-jitsu athletes. Like,
Are they?
They both have brown belts, and what you probably train 5 days a week. You and Dean.
Really?
So like for them, they're always like, lads, we shouldn't be eating these takeaways. But it is a challenge. Like out in the road, and even if you find like an amazing place, even getting something healthy there, you have to like when the person behind the deli and you say, "Can I have a salad bowl?" and they're like, "Oh, I have to make this now. Why can't you just have a roll with chicken and butter?"
Yeah. You just make it handy for
It
us.
is. We're heading to America now in 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
so we're trying to like be in a calorie deficit for the next fortnight
All right. So
Yeah.
so you have room to like
for
keep
the
going.
pancakes. Yeah.
That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds brilliant. And how many gigs do you have lined up over there? Or what's the plan?
We're there for a full month,
Wow.
so we're literally by the day we're there a month. We're doing 5 large Irish festivals, and we're playing I think about 17 or 18 gigs in total. So the way they operate is like the thing will run for 4 days per festival, and you're given your main gig slots, and I think they just encourage you then that if someone wants you to go sing at their slot too, you just go do it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
They're
whole
massive.
month.
Like one of them is like they've an estimated audience of like 105,000 this year.
Whoa, 105.
So that's like over the 4 days.
A little bit more than you had.
Yeah.
A couple more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's the biggest crowd you've played to so far?
Ooh, on our own show, like not in like a mixture show thing. Probably was it the Millennium this year? Yeah, so it was about 1,050 people I think.
Nice.
Okay.
And what about in a mixed show then? What was it?
We probably did similar in a show we did for somebody else. We did a couple of songs for them. I'm trying to think, was there something else?
Don't go festival.
Yeah, you probably do. You get over that at a festival, like an outdoor festival. But yeah, it's lovely when you can say it was your own show.
So this is a big jump up then, so to 100,000 that you'd be performing in America.
Yeah, I think
Holy
what they
moly.
do is they have like, so Milwaukee has 17 stages this year. So I don't know who the hell does the schedule for that. Like, how do you work that out? So our main stage that we'll play on is an outdoor amphitheater, which is going to be amazing.
Class.
Am I right in that? It's something like that.
It suits us because I think we're more of a
Yeah,
sit down,
Yeah.
definitely.
calm,
Yes.
jump around, and
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're on like an amphitheater, but then the main stage is like you can get up on the last night and stuff. I don't know how many that holds. Thousands, like.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's gonna be super.
I noticed there you said you're more a sit-down band. How would you describe your type of music? If someone says what type
It's
of
very
music do you
varied, like, you went through a lot of different kind of genres there, and you're open to suggestions, like,
Yeah.
as well. So you seem to be
Literally
very
from the crowd.
adaptable.
Yeah. I suppose for us, it's weird because sometimes we'll describe it as like vocal harmony based folk music, but then that's not always correct either.
Yeah.
Literally, getting a genre for yourself as an artist is like it's marketing 101,
Yeah.
but it's also most difficult thing ever.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
it's almost like a real pretentious thing if people say, "Oh, well, we find it hard to define ourselves." You have to.
Really.
You cannot be everybody's flavor, like
Yeah,
you know. So for us, I guess modern folk music is where we fall. It just so happens that the 4 guys that are the band, very different voices, so the harmony thing works. You know.
It works really well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everyone was saying that coming out the door, a lot of people mentioning they can all sing, and that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You know that you can sing and sing in different ways.
Thank you.
So you can have this great varied show. It's
We'll actually go through like playlists and YouTube videos and stuff when we're going to gigs in the car, and one of them was a really interesting day. We were actually, it was down this part of the country, it was Cork maybe, and Dolly Parton, I want to say it was her sister. Was her sister a singer? It was Dolly Parton and another person that Dean was saying was related to her. We want our harmonies to be as tight as like family singers are. If you ever hear like a family band, I don't know if it's because they're blood relatives, but those, like a southern type family band, that's the pinnacle.
Yes.
They just sound like one giant voice. It's crazy.
I suppose that's singing together the whole time.
From being a bit right.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably part of it. And the what I just we're talking about defining yourselves and marketing and all this. We were talking. This is episode 3. We were talking in episode 1 about the fact that you were coming, and we had to admit that we'd done no research on you.
Yeah.
And an immediate plan was okay. We're going to look these guys up. We're going to watch videos, and we're going to get that background.
Yeah.
But what I noticed was a lot of people when I said, "Oh, Onoir are coming," they were like, "Oh, they're brilliant."
Cool.
And which is obviously great for you to that word is out there. But I heard enough people say it that I decided I don't want to know what it is, because it's rare, I think, these days that you discover a band by seeing them live for the first time.
For sure.
And I was like, they're coming to the Teen Town. I don't know who they are. Let's have it be that. I have to say, I'm not just saying this. It was an amazing show. I was very impressed.
Thank you so much.
So, and I'm glad I did it that way, as I say, because it's you don't always get that. How do you feel live versus recorded? Like,
Well,
how does that work? How do? What's the question I want to ask? How in terms of discovering music, how do you see the difference there?
we started out. It was literally like the first lockdown. We had just come out, and you remember that thing where it was like you could go like 5 kilometers, whatever that was.
Yeah.
We started that way. It was just like, so Thomas and Declan and myself and Dean were 2 duos who played together. So we had never actually, the 4 of us never were in a band or anything. So we started as just a group of friends who did the studio thing.
Yes.
I had moved home out of the States, had some recording gear, and I was just like, you guys all sing, come up to the house and we'll pass an evening. So we were just recording. We thought we'd make the Old Triangle video, and it was going to take, I have a message on a Facebook group I created, and it says, lads, it'll take about 9 or 10 hours. We'll do it over a day if we're ambitious, we'll do it over 2. The Old Triangle video in the studio, which at the time was my bedroom covered in mattresses, or what do you call it, duvets, 150 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, 150 hours. That was audio, it was video. But we were that, you say you never discover a band live really nowadays, which is so true.
Yeah.
We just like made this video. And Niall, who played bass with us tonight, Niall was, he had just bought a fancy camera. So Niall was the de facto cameraman.
Yeah.
And we used one of our personal Facebook pages. There was no such thing as an ONOIR. It was just Thomas, Diarmaid, Dean, Declan. One personal Facebook page, and for whatever unknown reason, like in a week, 3.5 million people have watched the video.
Wow.
Like there was no like grand marketing plan or anything.
Yeah.
It was whose
No, not
Facebook
at all.
page is available tonight at 6:30. I actually remember we posted the video on a Thursday, and I was working in a hotel in a place very like this in Donegal, very like Ballybunion. Excuse me. Posted the video at 4:30, went and showered, and I was out at work for 5:30. And that night I was serving dinner to people. And as I was serving, people I had no idea who they were. The lady at the table was showing her husband our video.
Oh my god.
It was trippy.
Oh.
It was so, and I remember your man turned around to me and he said, "Can I get another pint of Heineken brought up, please?" And I don't even know what I said, but I was like, looked at his wife, I was like, "That's freaking me." I was like, "That's freaking," and she was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "That's me." Like, yeah, it was the weirdest thing ever.
Oh
Wow.
my
Yeah, I remember I got home from work that night, and like there was a WhatsApp group that we created, and the boys were like freaking out. And they were like, "It's like at 150,000 views."
Oh my god.
Yes.
Funny thing was too, it was like, who are these guys?
Yeah, we don't
It
know.
was like Tom, Dean.
Yeah.
Don't have a name.
Yeah. It was for a full 3 years there was no name. Yeah.
And how did you come to pick Onoir?
Do you know what? It was Thomas who kept saying to us, lads, we could actually do this. And at the time, I think all of us bar Thomas were saying like, please don't make this something that we're going to have to like work at, because we're all doing day jobs.
Yeah.
We're all doing other bands as well at the time. So we were like, this could just be a fun thing to do once a year. Then like by year 2, we made one video. A year later, we made a second one. That was a crazy output that we had. And after the second one, Tom was like, no, we have got to pick a name for this. And we were like, oh, but if we pick a name, it's going to become like a thing.
Yeah.
And we just ended up saying, like, what's a nice word in Irish? So we went away trying to look up, like, literally, and it sounds so cheesy, but it's genuine. We're like, pick some nice value to live up to. So we got all these words together, and like, I don't know, are you guys Irish speakers?
No.
No.
No. We're like this close to the Gael talk. We missed out by this much, right?
Yes.
And we were like, right, let's do some research. Some of them, we hadn't a clue how to say it. Now, my friend who's Jack, he has helped us with a lot of online stuff and all. He's like a computer wizard. And I was like, man, we're going to call it Onoir.
Oh, nice.
And he was like, that's the worst SEO decision of your life. And he was like, let me show you why. So he types it into Google, and a French restaurant called Onoir comes up. He's like, this is going to be terrible. And I was like, oh, it's too late. We bought the domain.
Weren't asking.
Yeah.
We were telling.
Yeah. So that's where that came out of.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're so charismatic, right? And when you're on stage, like, I think I don't know if it's probably common enough, but the charisma is oozing out of you. Like, you're interacting with the audience in a very casual way. You're very relaxed. You've got a great heart about you, and people are, I suppose, you're connecting with them very genuinely.
Thank you.
Is that something you've always had? Is it something that's come out now as you're starting to go on this path?
I'd say what the show is right now, and please God, this will continue. Like, when we did our first show was booked as motivation to keep us making videos. Essentially, we were trying to figure out, like, what's a new song, and so
This was after the big hit, like, you know.
no, this was 3 years later.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we had just made a third video, and for the third one we were like, let's go out of left field. So we took like an old, like, what is it? It's like, is it southern? Like,
southern gospel-y.
yeah. So we took like Wayfaring Stranger, which like Johnny Cash and all these people have covered. We're like, let's do it. Like, this was like literally, let's make it sound like it came off the Lethal Weapon soundtrack. We don't talk about this because it's like it's a voodoo time in our career.
Yeah.
So we made this Lethal Weapon-esque. Decky has a ripping guitar solo in the middle of this thing, right? So we were like trying to develop the show. I would say our first 4 months, probably like first 2 months, it wasn't like that there.
Right.
Because you're just trying to stop your knees from trembling when you're on stage, you know. And we've all gigged all our life. Something like this, there is nobody between you and that audience but God. Like, the mistakes, they're right there.
Yeah.
But then we started to realize, like, when you lean into it, I think the most important thing about probably any art form is like making a connection with somebody.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I actually think the whole like interaction thing with the audience came from a joke that I think it was probably me that made a joke about Tom on stage one night, about how husky his voice is, and the crowd just loved it. And I was like, oh shit, what was that like? Wow. But what I didn't realize was you can't just be like poking at Tom. You know, it went on for I'm not. This is how bad it got. Like, it wasn't like, oh, that was funny, we should like make a thing. A woman met Dean in Lidl one day in Donegal town and said, I don't like that big red-haired fella. He was very insulting to Thomas at the show in Donegal.
No.
And then I like laughed it off and I was like, oh, surely she was just having a bad day. She took to Facebook.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This woman, I have no idea who she is. Like,
Yeah.
Dean was like, this is the woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit. So I like, at the next rehearsal, I was like, Tom, am I insulting you on stage? And he's like, Jesus, no. Like, but then I sat and I was like, well, maybe I should make fun of everybody instead of just Tom, like, you know?
Yes.
So we tried to like develop a thing, but like trying to keep it natural as well.
Yeah.
Every night's different, and the only reason it's different is because of that crowd. You know,
Yeah.
I met it's going way off tangent, sorry. Lucy Jones went to a masterclass. She's a huge Broadway star, West End star in England. She came over to a local musical society at Christmas, and she did a Q&A, and she did like a masterclass. Amazing talented girl. But somebody asked her at the Q&A, like, how do you play a character for 3 years in the same theatre at the same times for the same days for that long without going crazy? And she was like, as hard as it is to believe, like, every night feels different. The audience is what makes it different, you know. And for us, like, that interaction with the audience is a quintessential part. I hope I can listen to this back in 2 months' time, right after I get home from America. I'm nervous about the States for that very reason. Because, as Declan says, we're not that, you know, like all 2 hours of jump up and down and drink and stuff at all. I hope they get us. You know, that's a genuine worry of mine. I don't know if the boys feel the same way. You know, I don't know how you feel, Deck, but
You're running out of talks, you see. So we just sit back and go, oh, that's not going down.
yeah.
Stay silent.
Yeah, it is.
I think though, you know, the music is strong. You're going to be able to fall back on that at least. Like the I didn't do any research on you, but one of the things people said about you was powerful, and I felt that in your performances, and I think that carries through.
Yeah. Like talent is talent. Like
Thank
you.
100%,
The crowd are going to respond to that anyway. If the talking doesn't work.
Although I think the Irish charm, it works very well in America too, potentially, from what I've heard.
We actually came down here to Castle Island. What do you call it? Oh, Folk. An absolute class. It's a lovely event. It happens in Brown's Bar. It used to anyway. Don't know if it's still there. That was our first ever time in Kerry, and it was about a year ago now. And so it's this tiny venue, and they just pack it. It's like 105 people jammed. So we played a gig there, and it was absolutely brilliant. And like 3 songs in, Dean turns around and he says, "Slow down, you're talking." He's like, "You're not talking to someone in Donegal now, you know?" Because when you talk like to us, we're like, you just have to kind of slow down. So it's going to be like times 50 for America.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's going, you know, they're not going to have a clue.
No, but it's going to sound nice with
Yeah.
an accent.
Yeah.
It's going to assume it's something good. And you'll be fine.
Yeah. Do you know something though, guys? Actually, I was saying this to Mike a minute ago. How blessed are you to have this place?
Yeah.
Like we would kill for this in Donegal, kill for this in Donegal town.
Yeah.
Like this place is, and we I don't know if we said it tonight, but every night as musicians, I use musicians.
A little bit, a little bit. But
You'll know what this feels like you know, just something feels right. Like the room feels right.
Yeah.
We judge every night by like how we performed,
Yeah.
how much did the audience like it, and what did the room sound like. That third one is like crucial.
That's based on applause, is it, or just a
No,
vibe,
like
an energy?
it's how literally acoustically the room
Oh,
sounds.
of course, right.
Especially when
right,
it's such a vocal heavy show, because you can crank an amp and love it, but your voice is you may not be feeling good. That, you know, it's so tender. Not taking away from your guitar playing at all, but your voice is so it's fragile in a sense.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Singing in there, I had my in-ear monitors out for 60% of the show because the room sounded amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's great. Yeah.
It is. It's a weird thing, just and like someone who's not a musician will be like, what kind of waffle is that? But it's a real thing.
Yeah, so the only other thing I wanted to ask you about was, so how do you pick the songs that you how do you put together the show into, like, do you want to start slow and kind of build to a big finish? Like, how do you arrange those songs? What goes into making those choices?
Declan and Dean are like both halves of the musical directorship for the group. The two lads have, Declan's too humble to say, but like they have ridiculous knowledge of music, like ridiculous. You went to college for how many years in England?
3.
Yeah, Dean did the same. He was up in Darien College there for music. Like, me and Tom just sit there and smile, right? So they do, Dean does all the harmonies himself, and Decky do the arrangements. Tom is I say that in the show every night, and it's genuine. Like, he is an encyclopedia of Irish music. He knows like who wrote the song, what age they were when they wrote the song. It was him actually. It was in that gig in Castle Island. Somebody shouted for Onoir Rivers, and the stage is like this table, guys. Yeah. So Tom's crash cymbal sometimes wasn't ringing out because it was hitting my back and stopping. That's how tight it was. So I said to him, "Do you know it?" Because we were taking requests. First night we ever took requests as well was here in Kerry, and he said, "Just give me it and I'll do it." Give him my guitar, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And that's how that song came into it. But that's not normal. Like, when we first built out the show, we built it out because we booked a show in a place called the Ballard Theatre in Ballybuffet in Donegal, 198 seats, right? We booked it to bring our family and friends to see us perform, to see what would be good for another video.
Yes.
ended up selling out 3 nights there. Couldn't believe it. And 2 nights in a theatre slightly further up the road, which was about 800 between the 2 nights there. So we had like 1,500 people all of a sudden who wanted to hear us sing. So
This was your first performance, sorry.
Ever.
Yeah. Wow.
Ever, yeah.
Wow.
So we went into panic mode because we knew how to sing, 2 songs? We didn't know how to sing the Owl Triangle live.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just done it.
We just did it in the studio.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we were actually asked by a friend of ours who's a great musician to do an event that Christmas, and we didn't know how to do the songs, and we were panicking and we were learning, and 3 on the group took strep throat and we couldn't do it anyway. Yeah. So we literally
Struck down.
Yeah, we were struck down, like, and maybe it was serendipitous.
inspiration.
Yeah. So those, like, that initial, say, 25 songs was 16 weeks spent in a hotel at a lovely place, again, in a place like this called the Sandhouse in Rossnowla. 16 weeks in a ballroom of Dean and Decky going through arrangements, Tom with suggestions, and then Dean would just line the 3 of us up and say, here's your harmony, don't get it wrong. Yeah. So that's how the initial set came. And then kind of as we've travelled around, picking up songs along the way.
Mm. So there was nerves in the initial stages, you're saying, like in the sense that when you were getting it all together and you referred to like kind of shaky, finding your feet initially.
My God.
And now you're at a stage where you're thinking about chicken goujons when you're after the show.
That's only afterwards. Beforehand,
okay.
Yeah, like,
yes,
you're nearly afraid to eat some nights. And then it's weird, like, tonight, just felt great. I don't know, it's something, again, I think something to do with the room. You just come out and you're like, this feels lovely.
Yeah.
We did the Millennium Forum, like I said, during the show. It's like 1,050 people. I hadn't a single nerve that night. The weekend after, we were down the country doing like 180 people somewhere, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to vomit. Like,
wow.
It's weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there something to do with the closeness of a small crowd? Like, do you feel more seen in front of a small crowd that you can see as such?
Mm-hmm.
It can actually be better at times as well. Like last night, we did a crowd in Mayo, it was about 180 people in this small room. Amazing night, like insane. It's hard to explain it. There's like some nights there's like this zeitgeist in the room. It's like this lightning in a bottle thing. You're like, there is no way to explain it.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know.
I suppose the size of the crowd and the dispersion of the crowd are different things. So you have a small crowd in a big venue.
Yes.
Probably feels very lonely, but the same crowd in a tight space.
We've actually, like, you know, you pick up scars along the way when you're out in the road, but there's this venue up the country. They have a small room, maximum like 190 maybe. 190 people, like that. I don't know why they have this small room, but they do. And thank God, it's a nice place to play. Their next room, the big room, 4,000 people.
Jesus.
That's the size of this room.
Yeah.
Okay, 4,000 capacity, like huge acts play there. But if you outsell the small room and they don't have someone in there, you go to the big room.
Oh my
So
God.
you had like 15 to 20 people.
Yeah.
Before. You're in there. And it's just like,
Yeah.
oh dear God.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we were booked into this small room in this venue in February of this year, right? And there was some kind of a mistake or something. They had tickets physically at a box office and they had tickets online. But there was a mix up in the total that were made. So all of a sudden we get a message saying, lads, there's 265 tickets sold. We have to put you in the big room. So we
Oh my God.
I
So it was
swear,
just- yeah.
I swear, we rock up to this literally like mini arena,
Yeah. And there's two.
and there's 265 people. Yeah, and I remember we were actually talking about this yesterday. There was a part in the show. Some nights there's a wireless mic at my feet, and during one of the songs I'll go out into the crowd. Again, it's one of those things you just know nights it's not going to work. But it was only our second night that I was thinking about doing it. We had done it once before, and this was going to be the second night. So you have to do it a few times to feel if it's going to work at all. And I was like, what the hell with it? Why not? Like,
Yeah.
So, song comes on, Declan singing, comes to the part where I'm supposed to go out into the crowd. I grab the radio mic and I head out. Man, you know when you're at the beach and you're like, I want to get in the water, but the tide is so far out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was trying to get to these people mid-song. This room was huge.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I actually think Hosier played the same room a month later.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at.
Yeah. So that's
one last thing.
Yeah.
We had a special guest tonight, who was obviously had high praise for you as well in your performance of his song. What was it like to see him and get that praise from him?
You know, I was loving, even when he came in during sound check, like, so Mickey McConnell is the man in question, and again, Tom was like with all the facts and figures, you know, because when we were thinking in December, it was November, December, there's a fiddle player in Donegal, plays with everybody in the country, he's been in Nashville, he's been everywhere, his name's McGee. Damien actually lives pretty close to you, pretty close to Tom. We were like, maybe we should record Onoir Rivers, and we were like, maybe Damien would arrange it as it. So we say in the show it's our vocal harmony version, but it's with a string quartet. On the record, Damien McGee is the bloody quartet. The guy is a monster. A monster. So we sent him a scratch track, which is like guitar, vocal, and I don't even know at that stage was it done to a click. Sent him that. About a week later, he says, listen, I'll get at it tomorrow. I haven't got looking at it. The very next day, he sat down to it. The following morning, he sent us back like just a left-right 2-track. Mind blown.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So he did that. We're like, oh, we have got to commit to this. When you put that kind of thing out, like I remember in the beginning, around that the Lethal Weapon era of our career,
as it'll forever be known.
Yeah. So Tom was like, okay, like, lads, you have to respect where this music came from. You know, don't be like pushing this boat out too far. So like when it came to this, we were like, you kind of have to like honor the original thing too.
Yes.
We launched that first or second week of January, I think it was. Mickey's like the first person to comment on it that night.
Wow.
We were like, what? No, we didn't tell anybody. We were,
Yeah.
Don't know how he's seen it, and we were like, oh my god! Like, we actually said this tonight in the show. Like, we love being singers. We have lots of heroes who are just singers, but there's something about being able to say like, you're a writer. You know, I lived in Nashville for a while, and everybody and their dog can sing their butt off. Like everybody, you know, the bartenders, the waitresses, everybody. But it's like not everybody can write. That's like such a special quality. And there's lots of writers can't sing, and they'd love to be able to hold a tune. But like Mickey said today, he wrote that song when he was 18.
Wow, crazy.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
You know, when I was 18, all I cared about was like Call of Duty. That is all I wanted. Play World of War or something, whatever it was called back then. You know.
Yeah.
He wrote that when he was 18.
Yeah. Some insight.
Oh my god. So that was our absolute pleasure to get to do that tonight.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. You don't have anything else to do before I jumping into our outro.
No, I think that's I think we've got what do you anything else?
Sorry. Do you want to plug anything? I know you're heading to America, but do you want to? Not that we have a massive audience yet. But if you want to plug something,
you never know.
We're actually in Limerick this Friday. I forgot. Someone said to me, they're like, we're in Dolan's in Limerick this Friday. We are in Limerick in the Lime Tree later in the year. We are in the INEC in September. We are going to the States for a full month to, as we said, to tour. We're about the south and the southeast and the southwest a lot over the next while. And I suppose the last note from us is the very best of luck with your new podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, guys.
We hope
Thanks
it's a
for the time.
roaring success for you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You have an awesome setup here. You have a great place, so the best of luck with it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
you
your
for
time.
joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.